Good morning, friends. Thanks for joining us this morning on Journey Home Meditation's Morning Sit. It is good to be here this morning. So much is going on right now in the world. In my small community, there were 4 people who were killed by gun violence this weekend in 3 different incidents. Anytime you get on social media, of course, you're going to inevitably see scenes from the streets of Gaza as we see the rubble piled on top of children and the effects of bombing campaigns on human bodies. And if we take a walk down any city street in the US, you are bound to see the violence of capitalism playing out with humans forced to live in the most dangerous of ways and put into the most compromising of positions just to survive. And this is a daily reality for many of us. And the reason that I'm bringing this into the conversation here this morning is not, what are they calling it these days? Virtue signaling, which to even think that to talk about peace, to talk about love, social justice, to talk about families, being able to sleep without worrying if their child is going to be killed by police at night or by a school shooter during the day, to even bring up the notion of people having health and as a community having wealth and sharing the fruits of this abundant world with one another. To talk about those things is derided, and it is subjected to ridicule. And there's even that term, virtue signaling, which is a way to silence someone in a conversation who is talking about the things that we find have value. And in a way, isn't everyone virtue signaling all of the time? If you find war virtuous, then as you call for the dropping of bombs on human bodies, you are signaling the world to your virtues. If you find material possessions to have value, to be virtuous, then promoting larger trucks and larger houses for the few is signaling a virtue. So this idea that virtue signaling is only done when we are talking about the world we want to create, when we talk about a world of nonviolence, a world of equity, a world of love and understanding and a compassionate world where children are not placed on the sacrificial altar of someone's ability to exercise their rights. Um, it really brings us into an awareness of exactly how profoundly disconnected we are from one another and from our center, that place of balance and that place of a naturally springing care that we all have within us. Um, Someone is asking, I think I can do this actually. Um, Someone is asking in the chat, I'm not sure that it's actually showing up on the overlay. I'm trying to add that in, but we'll figure that out. Someone is asking, is it even possible to have the world you describe? Some of us are so disconnected, I'm not sure it's possible. Okay, so let's do the first question first. Yes. Yes, not only is it possible to have the world that I'm describing when I talk about a loving, compassionate, kind, and caring world, we do have this world. We do have this in times and places, in interactions. Um, so, yes, if this world is possible with one person alone in a room who is not having thoughts of self harm and is loving themselves and loving the room around them and the world around the room and sending love out to everyone, then it's possible on a larger scale. And if it's possible between two people, then it's possible between three and between four and more. But the second comment, some of us are so disconnected, I'm not sure it's possible. That is true as well. I have some tea. Lovely. Um, but I would say that I also disagree with the statement that some of us are so disconnected, I'm not sure it's possible. Because there are not some of us who are disconnected. If there are any who are disconnected, it is all of us who are disconnected. And when I find myself feeling that I am not connected to this world because of its ugliness and because of its anger and rage and atrocities, that's when I know I need to sit with it longer and I need to connect with it. That's when I know that I cannot look away. I cannot look away. And it's when we look away that we have already begun the journey of disconnection. Now, does this mean that we have to sit and watch video after video after video of the atrocities taking place all over the world? No, it does not. No, I don't believe that it does. But it does mean that when we are in the presence of pain, when we are in the presence of suffering, we arrive in a way that holds that space so as to give it belonging. And I'm not speaking towards the notion that violence belongs or that the atrocity belongs, but the pain and the suffering that exist in this world is being felt by so many of us who feel we do not belong. And it's being created by so many of us who believe that we do not belong or that others do not belong. And so often our ability to look away is dependent upon our ability to disconnect. So it is in the very fact that we are so disconnected that it is possible, because the possibility there is for healing and reconnection and remembering. So at the same time that the atrocities are taking place, someone somewhere is saying a prayer in the name of love. And at the same time that someone is picking up a weapon to use against another person, someone somewhere is chanting a mantra for peace and the end of suffering. And sometimes someone is out there robbing or stealing to survive, while at the same time another is robbing and stealing to ride on a 90-foot yacht. And all of these things are happening at the same time in the same plane of existence, right? This is happening in the physical world, in the material world around us. And I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that if I can train myself to not look away the way that I have been trained to look away from others' pain and to look away from my own suffering and to look away from the injustices committed by groups of people against other groups of people. And if I can look away at the laws that maintain a system of dominance and control by the few at the cost of the many, and if I can look away from the prison industrial complex, and if I can look away from the inherent racism of the economy, and if I can look away from the sexism, the homophobia, and the transphobia that run rampant through our community, and if I can look away from that level of hate that it takes to murder another human being, and if I can look away from the level of pain that it takes to kill someone in your own defense, then I am the one who's profoundly disconnected. Profoundly disconnected. And if I'm disconnected, then I'm disconnected from the whole. But if I can reconnect, then I'm reconnected to everything. And it's painful, and it's sorrowful, and it's mournful, but it's loving, and it's joyful, and it's supportive. And there's tears and there's laughter and there's food and there's struggle and there's support and there's anger and there's acceptance. To be accepted with your anger, not in spite of it, means that your anger has a place. And if your anger has a place, then it doesn't need to lead into disconnection. It can lead into reconnection. Your anger can inform your body in what it needs to do in any moment to not look away. Because your anger is just another voice of pain, and your pain is just another symptom of suffering, and your suffering is your connection to everyone else that suffers. To pretend we do not suffer is to deny our connection to everything. So, just as much as it is possible that I can become violent, and it is possible that I can become um, racist and homophobic, and it's possible that I can become elitist, and it's possible that I can become all of these ways of domination and control and fearful scarcity that takes over our way of being, then it is also possible that I can love. And it's also possible that I can put down my weapons. And it's possible that I can open my arms. And it's possible that I can begin to accept and forgive and be forgiven. And that I can love. And it's possible then that we can live in the world we describe. Because violence begins on the level of one person. Violence begins with ideas of judgment and hatred and self-hatred and disconnection and scarcity. And then violence extends from that one to the next and the next and the next. And so long as each of us believe that we are these isolated incidents of existence, as long as we believe that we are alone in this world, then we use militarized language like we are fighting a battle that no one else sees. That's a military way of speaking. We've already accepted that violence is a part of our daily existence. What if we were to accept that so is peace? What if we were to accept that I am not an isolated incident of existence, that I am a part of a fabric of existence, and that my existence is interwoven with your existence? And then slowly, what I thought was just up to me is us. And what if it's always been that way? And what if we accept that this disease has been the belief of our separation? And what if that belief of our separation has nothing to do with me and you, but it all begins within? If I believe that I am isolated and separate, that is the first act of violence. And what if the first act of reparation of that violence is to begin to understand, accept, and inform ourselves that we are connected, intrinsically, inherently, and infinitely connected. And if I can inform myself with that knowledge, then my belief will become informed by my knowledge. And my belief will inform the way that I move forward. So I think it's possible. Not only do I think it's possible, I think it's the only possible solution forward, the only possible path we have. And it's inevitably the path that we all go on. When I'm sitting bedside with a person who is dying, in those dying moments, in that space between breaths that gets longer and longer as someone's starting to leave their body, a moment is timeless. And I truly feel that what's happening in that moment is we are doing the work of forgiveness. As we lay dying, we are doing the work of accepting. We are doing the work of letting go of our separation. We are birthing ourselves from this body of isolation and separation. And in doing so, we are becoming a loving peace. And I think we can learn from that and do that now. And I think it begins today with just a few breaths. So if you want to find yourself in your meditation posture, that place of balance, that place within ourselves that we can better facilitate breath, because this is a devotional practice to our breath. And that is all this is. It's very simple. Because in our breath is our connection to everything. As we breathe in, we take in the dust that was once a mountaintop. And as we breathe out, we release the waters from our blood that was once the ocean. And as we breathe in, we take in the dying exhale of a person 1,000 miles away. And as we breathe out, we give life to a baby as it takes its first breath of air. Breathing in through the nose, gently into the bottom of the belly. Breathe in. And releasing the breath from the body. Breathing in. And releasing. Breathing in. And letting go. Find the space between the breath. Feel what the body feels. Breathing in. Bring the shoulder blades together just slightly in the back to open your chest and your heart. Let your shoulders relax. Relax the neck and jaw, your eyes, your cheeks, your forehead. Through the nose, breathing in. And breathing out. Find your rhythm. Breathing in is receiving. This is our ability to receive. Breathe in. Breathing out is releasing. It's our ability to release. When you receive, you are accepting. And when you let go, you are surrendering. But there's a point where accepting and surrendering is the same thing. When you surrender to something, you accept it. So let go of your need to know, your need to control, your need to dominate, and open yourself to your surrender. You can stay in this place as long as you'd like. Find yourself coming back here throughout the day, just that place of surrender. And it's not a surrender to an external being or power. It's a surrender into your lovingness and your acceptance and your awareness. We don't need to fight ourselves. we already belong. Thank you for joining this morning on this morning sit. You can reach out and connect with me, Michael, by emailing journeyhomemeditation@gmail.com. You can also check out what it is we do in the space that I host these morning sits in by going to journeyhome.care. That's journeyhome.care. You can snoop around on the website and even find yourself a link to all of the past meditations and morning sits that we've done together, as well as a calendar for in person and some even hybrid events here from Journey Home. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for not turning away, for facing one another. And if we look long enough, we're bound to see ourselves somewhere in there. Hariom.